Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Srimad Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Nandanacarya Bhavan ki jai, Shri Ishodian ki jai. So this place is also known as Ishodian. Isha means Lord. Ishodian is, Isha comes in plural, and Ishodian means basically the garden of the two lords. Regarding Mahaprabhu and Nityananda, this is the meeting place. In this precise place we are here now. Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu met for the first time in their manifest Leela on earth, right here. So originally this was a garden, so that was called the house of Nandanacarya Bhavan, but included the garden, which was the meeting place of both of them. Oh, some luggage news. Gaur Hari Bol. Nityananda's grace, we need to come here for that to happen. So this is a place that nowadays is taken care of by followers and disciples of Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. There you can see, I don't know if he's Samadhi, we can ask, or Pushpa Samadhi. Pushpa Samadhi means the place where the body was buried, had a garland, the body, and petals from that garland are taken, and sometimes a pushpa, which means flower, samadhi is made somewhere else, with some petals buried. Like later we will go to Srila Prabhupada's Pushpa Samadhi in Mayapur, but his samadhi is in Vrindavan, right? So, I don't know, we can inquire, but that's in honor of Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, who was a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was one of those who went to the west in the time of Bhakti Hridaya Maharaj. Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj was one of those who went to Europe at that time. And we are in a place of Nityananda Prabhu which has to do a lot with unconditional mercy and grace, shared in every direction. And at that time, just a brief mention with Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Hridaya Maharaj, they went to Europe. Sometimes I hear devotees saying, oh, they were not so successful as Prabhupada was successful in the West. They basically were not so successful. And I personally don't feel that that's correct or sensitive, because they were as successful as someone can be going to Europe at the time of World War, which is very different from going to US at the time of the hippie era. Now, I'm not wanting again to compare, say, better or worse. It's a completely different scenario. And success is not measured necessarily only by numbers, right? Like Prabhupada himself would say, my mission is a success if even one person becomes a pure devotee. Well, from this Europe campaign of the Gaudiya Math, someone like Sadhananda Swami came from Germany. And I'm close with his followers, and he shared with me how Sadhananda Swami eventually realized his eternal spiritual identity and his soul. So he became a pure devotee from that campaign to Europe. One pure devotee, mission accomplished. You follow my point? So anyhow, a few words in connection to Goswami Maharaj, who was one of those few who dared to go to represent the message of Mahaprabhu into another planet called Europe. Into the time of World War and interacting with the Nazi regime, and that's delicate, right? So anyhow, an interesting connection between all that campaign of grace and extension and the meeting place of Mahaprabhu and the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, as we talked today in the morning. So Nityananda Prabhu, as you know, was born in Ekachakra, the place we were supposed originally to visit tomorrow, but eventually we have decided to stay here, because it's a little bit of a long journey, but that's where he was born. Still in the broader Gaura Mandala. Gaura Mandala is more like a broader area besides Navadvipa of other places. So Nitai was born there, spent his first 12 years of his life in Ekachakra. And his pastimes were very similar to those of Balaram in his childhood. Again, there is this parallel between the childhood pastimes of Nimai and the childhood pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. We find a similar version between the childhood pastimes of Balaram and those of Nityananda in Ekachakra. So he lived in Ekachakra for the first 12 years, and from there, at 12 years, he decided, let's go on pilgrimage. And his pilgrimage lasted 20 years, 20. So it was not a 2-week pilgrimage, it was a 2-decade pilgrimage, starting at 12 years. So he started visiting different holy places. throughout India, basically. And at one point he was in Vrindavan. And again, when he was in Vrindavan, Nityananda, remember, Nityananda is Balaram, so he was in his avadut mood, in divine madness, intoxicated and roaming and hanging around mostly with gopas, because he's one of them, with cows. And at one point he starts to inquire, where is Krishna? Right? Nityananda is Balaram, elder brother of Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And someone told him, oh, Krishna has appeared in Navadvipa. He's performing his lila here. So when Nityananda hears that, from Vrindavan he comes gradually to Navadvipa, to Mayapur specifically, and he hides here. This is the house of Nandanacarya, devotee of Mahaprabhu. So he hides here. Again, we were talking about these days about hide and seek. These dynamics are already even between different forms of the Absolute, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. So Nityananda comes here in hidden way. And Mahaprabhu is here where he meets with him for the first time. And today I'd like to share with you a very specific detail. I would like to read directly from Chaitanya Bhagavat how this meeting is described. I could share some words, but I like how it is described word by word by Krishna Das Vrindavan Das Thakur. So, with or without your permission, I will do that. So, it's a few verses, so it's almost 2 chapters of the book. So, take your time, fasten your seatbelts. And again, from here we will go and visit Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, which is again very tied to the nature of the campaign of Nityananda Prabhu. But in one sense, it all begins here, another birthplace here. The birthplace of Mahaprabhu and Nityananda together, meeting here. After this meeting, Nityananda Prabhu is sent to Srivasangam and starts to live in Srivasangam. And then when Mahaprabhu accepts sannyas and goes to Puri, Nityananda visits him every year, but Mahaprabhu will ask him, go to Bengal and deliver everyone over there. But let's share some words about this particular place. Okay, this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Lila, chapter 3, starting with verse 136, in case eventually you want to go through yourself. And then it goes over to chapter 4. I may be skipping a few verses from the whole narrative, but try to keep the main thing here. So sit comfortably. If it helps, you can close your eyes, visualize the description, whatever helps you to sink into what happened here and what still happens here, because these leelas are eternal moments that are already always happening. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur begins saying, anyone who hears about the arrival of Nityananda in Navadvipa will certainly receive the wealth of love. So that's the Asirvad, the original blessing. Whomever hears about that, each one of you, will receive Premadhan, the gift of love. When Vishvambar, Mahaprabhu, understood that Nityananda had arrived, he became unlimitedly joyful at heart. On some pretext, the Lord had previously given the Vaishnavas some hint about Nityananda's arrival, yet none of them had understood. Now Mahaprabhu said, oh brothers, within 2 or 3 days some great personality will come here. By providence, after worshipping Vishnu that same day, Mahaprabhu soon met with all the Vaishnavas. He told everyone, today I have seen something wonderful in a dream. A chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree, which is the symbol of Balaram, an expert in bestowing the essence of life on all people, arrived at my doorstep. Another dream, right? Within the chariot, I saw someone with a huge body. He held a post on his shoulder and his movements were unsteady, intoxicated by divine love. In his left hand, he carried a water pot wrapped with cane. He was dressed in blue garments and his head was decorated with a blue cloth. His left ear was decorated with a charming earring. By his characteristics, I could understand that he was none other than Haladhar, another name for Balaram, which means the one who bears the plow. He repeatedly inquired 10 or 20 times, all this in the dream that Mahaprabhu had. Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? Is this the house of Nimai Pandit? He was dressed like an avadut and appeared to be most powerful. I have never seen such a personality before. I was filled with respect on seeing him and asked, which great personality are you? So Mahaprabhu is asking Nityananda in his own dream. He smiled and said, I am your brother. Tomorrow we will meet. Mahaprabhu continues, Gaur Haribo. I became most pleased by hearing his words, and I consider myself to be identical with him. While speaking in this way, the Lord lost his external consciousness and roared loudly in the mood of Haladar. How is that supposed to sound? Someone can help with that? Who?
We just heard it.
Yeah, we didn't coordinate properly. We were rehearsing the other day, but it didn't work. Okay. So you heard the roaring. Mahaprabhu repeatedly cried out. He entered into the mood of Balaram Mahaprabhu now. Bring wine, bring wine. Baruni, favorite drink of Balaram. His cry was so loud that everyone's eardrums were almost broken. Srivas Pandit said, please hear me, O Gosai, Mahaprabhu. The wine that you are demanding is available only with you. Only one whom you give it can have it. Again, wine is a symbol for divine intoxication. Right? So you're asking for that, but you are full of that. How can we give that? The devotees were trembling as they looked on from a distance. All the Vaishnavas contemplated, there must be a reason for this. Right? Why Mahaprabhu is entering into the mood of Balaram, asking wine, saying all the things. The reddish-eyed Lord, Mahaprabhu, recited poems and laughed as his body swayed back and forth like Sankarshan. Again, another form of Nityananda. After a while, the Lord returned to his normal state. Then, he began to explain the meaning of the dream. Mahaprabhu says, it appears to me that some great personality has arrived here. I have already previously informed you that we will soon meet a great personality. O Haridas, O Srivas, go immediately and see who has come. So Mahaprabhu is asking Haridas Thakur and Srivas Pandit, go and find Nityananda without mentioning his name. On the order of the Lord, the two Mahabhagavatas, Haridas and Srivas, happily searched throughout Navadvipa. That's a big search. While searching in this way, they confided to each other, it seems Lord Sankarshan has come. Overwhelmed in ecstasy, the two looked everywhere but were unable to get any indication of where he was. They looked all over Nadia, another name for Navadvipa, for 9 hours without finding anyone, and then returned to Mahaprabhu. The two informed the Lord, we have not found anyone new. We have searched the residences of Vaishnavas, Sannyasis and Grihastas. We even have gone to the houses of atheists. We have looked all over Navadvipa, but we did not go outside Navadvipa. Gaur Chandra smiled as he heard their report. By this pastime he revealed that Nityananda is most confidential. Not easy to find by your own effort, so to say. After a while, Sri Chaitanya Dev smiled and said, everyone come and see him with me. Sri Gaur Sundar led all the devotees to the house of Nandanacarya. So now we arrive here. Sitting there, some were here, sitting there was one great jewel-like personality. Everyone saw that his effulgence was like that of millions of suns. No one could understand his internal mood. He was absorbed in happiness from his meditation and continuously smiled. Understanding his pure devotional mood, Vishvambar and the devotees offered him obeisances. Everyone then stood there, watching him in awe and reverence without speaking a word. Mahaprabhu Vishvambar stood directly in front of Nityananda, who immediately recognized the Lord of his life. Nityananda became stunned in ecstasy as he stared at the beautiful form of Vishvambara. Try to imagine that mutual glancing exercise, both of them re-meeting each other for the first time in the Lila. Now it comes a description of Nityananda Prabhu. He appeared to be licking that beautiful form with his tongue, drinking it with his eyes, embracing it with his arms, and smelling it with his nose. All his senses were immersed in that. In this way, Nityananda became stunned. He neither spoke nor did anything. Everyone there was astonished. Lord Gauranga, the life and soul of all, then devised some means of revealing the identity of Nityananda. Because so far for everyone that's a great personality, but who is that person? Mahaprabhu indicated that Srivas should recite the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Understanding the Lord's gesture, Srivas Pandit immediately recited the verse in glorification of Krishna's characteristics. So that comes a famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Barhapidam Nata Varavapu Karnayu Karni Karam, etc., which describe Krishna's peacock feather, and movements, and companions, and cows, and so on. As soon as Nityananda heard this verse, he fell unconscious to the ground. As Lord Nityananda lost consciousness in ecstasy, Gauranga instructed Srivas to continue reciting. So he, as we said the other day with Gadadhar and Mahaprabhu, Nityananda lost consciousness by hearing the Bhagavatam, and Mahaprabhu said, continue reciting, so we bring him back. So Gauranga instructed Srivas, continue reciting. Hearing the verses for some time, Nityananda regained his consciousness and began to cry. His madness increased as he heard the continual recitation of verses. He roared so loudly that the sound pierced the universe. He suddenly jumped in the air and fell forcefully to the ground. Everyone there thought that his bones were smashed. As Nitai rolled on the ground, his entire body became wet with tears of love. He sighed deeply while looking at the face of Vishvambara. Okay, Arti quite early. It's 11. Let's see. Maybe they're offering something. We'll see. We have a few more paragraphs, not much. We'll see if it gets too loud, we move somewhere, but if not, we continue. Seeing his amazing ecstatic madness in love of Krishna, Gaurachandra, and all the Vaishnavas began to cry. His happiness constantly increased, Nitya Ananda, right? Ever expanding Ananda. Although they tried to hold him still, they were unable. When all the Vaishnavas failed to hold him still, Vishvambara personally took Nityananda in his arms. As soon as Nityananda was taken off Vishvambara's lap, he surrendered his life to the Lord and became motionless. Nityananda surrendered his life to whom it belonged and remained inert, quote unquote, in the Lord's lap. Nityananda floated in the waters of Chaitanya's love. Just as Lakshman remained in the lap of Ramachandra after being hit by the Shakti Kela arrow, Nityananda lost consciousness due to being hit by the arrow of ecstatic love. Holding Nityananda on his lap, Gaurachandra began to cry. There is no comparison to the affection between Gaurachandra and Nityananda, other than that which is found between Ram and Lakshman, which is another incarnation of them two in the Ram Lila. As Nityananda and Gaurachandra gazed at each other, they did not speak a word as tears flowed from their eyes. They were both filled with happiness on seeing each other. The earth became flooded with their tears. Gauranga prayed to Nitai. Now comes a beautiful set of prayers of Mahaprabhu praying and praising Nityananda. I understand that you are the full power of Godhead. Only by worshipping you can a living entity attain devotional service to Krishna. You are able to purify the 14 worlds. Your confidential characteristics are inconceivable and unfathomable. Who is qualified to recognize you? for you are the personified well of loving devotion. If a person associates with you for even a moment, he will be delivered even if he has committed millions of sinful activities. I have understood that Krishna will deliver me because he has given me your association. Out of great fortune I have seen your lotus feet. Just by worshipping you, I will achieve the wealth of love of Krishna. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fully absorbed as he incessantly offered prayers to Nityananda. Nityananda and Chaitanya conversed with each other through signals and gestures that were unknown to others. Then Nityananda said to Mahaprabhu, I have visited many holy places and seen various sites connected with Lord Krishna. I could only see the place, but I could not see Krishna. I remember he was on pilgrimage everywhere. I could only see the place, but I could not see Krishna. Then I inquired from some responsible persons why all the thrones were covered. I asked them, oh brothers, where has Krishna gone? They said Krishna has gone to Gaudiya, here. He returned a few days ago from his visit to Gaya when Mahaprabhu was initiated. Coming here, I have caught the thief. Nityananda is saying to Mahaprabhu, now I am here. Where will you go to run away? Gaura and Nityananda laughed heartily at each other and danced in ecstasy as tears of love flowed from everyone's eyes. So this is what happened here at Nandanacarya Bhavan. Probably you can appreciate why I read it and just didn't convey it in general ways. It's a very deep, heart-touching experience of what took place here, the meeting of Sri Chaitanya Dev, Sriman Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. So maybe we can spend a few minutes trying to sink in what we just heard, praying, if you want to journal, chanting, and then before moving forward we will do some small exercise together trying to sink in a little bit more. But let's for a few minutes, 10 minutes or so, pray, chant, journal, somewhere in this area so we don't get too far from each other and we can then get together for our exercise. So. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Gaur Nityananda ki jai, Lord
Hare Prabhupada ki